Hey guys, this is Jeff Newton. Just doing a little bit of cleanup work here, trying to explain a little bit about what I'm doing. I get a lot of comments, and I just want to take a chance to comment on a couple of them. First of all, I appreciate the guys. You're comparing me to other reporters in the business right now. I'm not a reporter anymore. But what I'm doing now is not really journalism. It's commentary and analysis from a guy who lives literally up in the woods. I'm in the woods. And really what I'm doing is, my partner and we built a 10 cabin tiny resort campground because I covered war for 30 years and it takes its toll on you. And so, wanted to be in a place where that stuff wasn't happening anymore. It takes a lot out of you. And, a lot of friends of mine in the business are still reporters. It's a little insulting to them, really, frankly, to say, keep your journalism up. This is not journalism. Journalism is hard. I'm like one of these other guys out there online, just saying what I think. It's an opinion piece, and it doesn't count towards journalism, as far as I'm concerned. At least it doesn't to me, and I think about my career at 60 Minutes, 15 years there. We used to spend our days and weeks and months researching pieces, footnoting every line multiple times to make sure that we never made any mistakes. Going to screenings where there's lawyers sitting through them, and everything you write or say is scrutinized. And any email you send to anybody is scrutinized. And so I think it's just really important for people to know that what I'm doing here is, I don't know what it is, frankly. I see a lot of people doing it online, and some of them, they're actually coming out and saying, get away from the mainstream media. They're lying to you all the time. Watch me. You kind of know who they are. I'm not going to insult any of them. There's one right now on the Republican side who's was up in Michigan doing stuff. And all I wanted to know was who's funding him, frankly, because he's up there and everybody's taking his side about all the stuff that he's doing. And a lot of stuff he's doing is garbage, but I'm not going to call him out by name. Let everybody else do that. And then I've seen, people who are liberal journalists, very far. I'm moderate. I'm right down, sort of down the middle. But I've seen other guys on the other side of the spectrum too, doing a lot of what they call reporting. And honestly, they're not reporting. They're like repeating stuff they read from real reporters. And don't give them that credit. They're commentating on things. And if you want to follow them, that's cool. Do it. If you want to follow me, do that because you like what I have to say. But I'm not doing journalism, and neither are they. Some of them are citizen reporters and all that kind of stuff. Reporting is hard, man. It takes a lot of time, a lot of energy. You're spending day and night on the phone. You don't have time off. You're getting a phone call. I used to get phone calls from Afghanistan at 3:00 in the morning, about stories. I have to wake up and work, and then get on a plane. I remember when Benazir Bhutto was killed and I had to go to I had to go to Pakistan, and it was Christmas break. I was, visiting my girlfriend at the time, and I had to get on a plane, period. I had to be on a plane within 24 hours. That's hard work. What I'm doing around here, look at this. These are my cabins, This is awesome. And it's not the same hard work that I used to do. It's hard. I'm chopping wood and laying gravel and cleaning cabins and all that kind of stuff, but it's not journalism. So do me a favor. People like me, don't call us journalists anymore. We're not. I'm a journalist, but I'm not doing journalism when I do this. And neither are all those other people. They're not really, most of them are not doing journalism. They're just talking to you. Learn to differentiate between the two so that you're not insulting the people in the business who are working their ass off. The ones who had to be at the press conference this morning at fucking Mar-a-Lago to listen to that hour and a half rambling, and screaming questions at the president to try to get one answer and no follow-up, and then having to go back and try to figure out how to make that a story. That's hard work. I'm just sitting here, giving my thoughts. If you like my thoughts, that's cool. Secondly, a couple of people in the comments the last few days, they like what I have to say, but they don't like the fact that I cuss sometimes. Clean up my language. Fuck it. I'm not cleaning up my language. Sometimes my F-bombs, or as my partner calls it, Jeff bombs, they're exclamation marks on my anger, my angst, or a point that I really need to make. And I'm not going to censor how I talk. because some people don't like it, or they're, it's not religious enough for them or whatever. I'm an honest person. I'm really trying hard to give my perspective on things, and I'm not going to censor the way I talk. If you want to talk about on your page and not cuss or not, go ahead and do it, but don't tell me how to, it's my business. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be who I need to be. A lot of really great story suggestions. Okay. I appreciate all the story suggestions, and I'm actually considering quite a few of them. Some of them are really complicated. They're going to take more than 5, 7, 8 minutes to tell. Already, like on the internet now, people want 45-second hits. I'm not doing that. I mean, I used to work at 60 minutes. I'm used to telling long format stories, and I'm going to tell you thing. And if you can't go past 5 minutes, I totally understand. Go get that sort of MTV burst of dopamine that you need. It's not me, And frankly, I'm not trying to get as many people to watch it as possible. I'd love for have a bigger audience to listen to nuanced storytelling or whatever I'm doing, but I'm not trying to build my audience just so I'm not even monetizing what I'm doing right now. And I'm sure my friends are going to be mocking me for that. I've all sorts of people calling and telling me that I should be trying to figure out how to monetize it, and I probably will at some point. But right now, I'm just trying to be a part of the discussion because I think I do have some things to say. If I don't know about something, like if it's a deep sort of election fraud issue, national fraud, counting ballots in other swing states and stuff like that, there are better people that do that than me, really. And I have covered elections before. I've covered elections in foreign countries, in Afghanistan and Iraq and those kind of places where people are like, when they vote, they put blue ink on their fingers so they can't vote twice. I mean, really weird stuff. And I've covered local elections and statewide elections, and I've covered state legislatures for a living and all that kind of thing. But when it comes to like data-driven information, stuff like that, when it comes to election cycles, that's not me. There are people who do that who are really great at it. I'm not going to insult them by trying to do analysis of things I don't know. What I know is I know how to cover war really well. I've done that for, I've been, 30 years. I did almost 30 years of covering conflicts. I know quite a bit about politics and, what to look for, what not to look for, what not to waste your time on. And I know a lot about the media world that we work in, because I've worked in every kind of, I started out as a print journalist writing for newspapers, and I got out before they started tanking. So I really feel lucky in that regard. And I worked in television. I did stuff for regional, affiliates when I was younger, but for a very short period of time until 60 Minutes hired me. I've worked for big, wire services like, Associated Press. I was a freelancer for when I was in college, and I worked for Reuters in Afghanistan as a guy for them. And then I went to 60 Minutes. I was really lucky. I skipped over all the affiliate stuff. I skipped over the evening news stuff that I really don't like doing because I don't like telling stories in 90 seconds. It makes, sound bites and all that kind of stuff. It seems to me you're not really giving any people information that they really can use very well when your stories are so short and there's no nuance and but I can talk about the media pretty well, I think, and how it operates. So I'll stick to those kind of topics for now. And every now and then I might throw something in that's funny, or I might even, give a shout out to my Team Canada for advancing the semifinals of the World Juniors yesterday. Might even talk about the poor Olympic selection for Team USA and Team Canada that were left off and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm going to stick within my lane. Thanks very much. I appreciate when you like, follow, and share and comment. I really appreciate the sharing. I've seen, my followers grow dramatically in the last 10 days, and I'm hoping to keep that going. But and if you wonder where I work out of right now, I'm working out of the writer's cabin right there. It's that little cabin there, 2 stories, got a queen bed upstairs, and it's not where I live. I live down the hill about 200 yards in the house that Holly and I have, and with our 2 dogs. You see Georgie with me a lot. I'll make some Georgie videos for you. People seem to love Georgie more than they love me. What's that all about? I think it's probably because I'm old and fat and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, y'all take care. Like, follow, and share. Talk to you soon.